Hello everyone, I am your teacher Mario, and today I bring to you a video tutorial that is very important to you for your learning, for your acquisition about a new topic which is related with the past perfect. And we are going to learn about the concept of past perfect, uh, how we can construct them, and how we can differentiate it with the past simple with the past perfect. So let's start. The first thing that we need to know when we are learning about past perfect is to locate in which moment we are going to use this time, because there is a difference between the past simple with the past perfect. In other words, that this tense describes events what happened in the middle of another event in the past, or which passed in the past. For example, this action, when we want to use the past perfect, we need to consider that the actions finished before another action. But don't worry about this point because we are going to explain to you with examples in the next slides. But in this point, we need to learn how we can construct the past perfect. We are going to use an auxiliary in this past perfect, which is the verb to have, but in the past participle, which is had. We are going to use had with all the pronouns. For example, I had, you had, she had, it had, we had, they had, and and then we are going to use the verb in past participle too. For example, with the regular verbs, we only add the ed at the end of the verbs, but with irregular verbs, we are going to remember how these verbs are in past participle. Okay. Here there is another example about the positive forms with past perfect. The questions, for example, is had I worked, had you worked, for example. And with negative, we are going to use the negation not. I had worked, I hadn't worked, for example. And here, as I said before, I'm going to explain to you in this point how we can use the past perfect, because it's a little bit complicated when we are learning this new past tense. And the point here is, if you, as you can see in this slide, the is this sentence: I opened the door and I saw that someone had left a note. If you realize, there is two verbs in past simple, which is I opened and I saw. And in this point, we use the past perfect that happened before the action. It means the past simple. For example, I opened the door and I saw that someone had left a note. In Spanish, it could be: yo abrí la puerta y vi que alguien había dejado una nota. This action happened before that someone opened and opened the door and saw that note. And here there is another examples. If you don't understand me in the slides before, for example, says that the past perfect takes place before another past action, as I said before. And there is another example. For example, I noticed that he had left his books behind. They use the past simple, that is noticed, and had left, the past perfect, and together say in Spanish: me di cuenta de que había dejado su libro atrás. So that's the meaning of the past perfect tense. And here there is another uses of past perfect tense, but the most common is the first one is to describe an action finished before another past action. And another usage could be describe an action that happened before a specific time in the past, and to describe cause and effect combined with past simple, or to emphasize the result of an activity in the past. If you can see, there are some examples here, but we are going to use the first one that is very important. To finish with this video, with this explanation, there are some examples of how we can use the past perfect. For example, in the first one says, the baby had cried before her father came. El papá había llorado antes de que su padre llegara. Had the water boiled when you went to the kitchen? ¿Había el agua ya hervido cuando tú llegaste a la cocina? By the time, the third one, by the time I returned home, he had already left. Cuando yo llegué a casa, él ya se había ido. La cuarta, the fourth one. When I came home, they had already eaten the meal. Cuando yo llegué a casa, ellos ya habían comido el desayuno, la comida. La quinta, the fifth one. He began to run after he had seen the cat. De que él comenzó a correr después de que había visto el gato. And the next one, I had never seen such a nice beach before I went to the Hawaii. And the next one, I have lived in London before I moved to Paris. She had washed her hands before she cooked the dinner. Did the students go home after they had visited the library? And the last one, I returned home because I had forgotten my notebook at home. As you can see here, there are examples about how we can use the past perfect. And as I said, the past perfect is when an action happened before another action. But you can learn about this past perfect with examples, with your own construction of sentences. And that's all for me, and I hope you learn with the past perfect. See you guys.